Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. Lovefraud once received an email from a reader who ended up in a relationship with one sociopath after another. Maybe you've had a similar experience. You know that the sociopath is bad for you, but you can't break away. You actually feel like you're addicted to this person. Well, you probably are. I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and tonight I'm going to explain why you're addicted to the sociopath and how to overcome it. This is a live streaming show, and I'll answer your questions at the end of this short presentation. So please send them to me as we go along. Okay, so here's the letter. I feel hopeless. I'm a target for sociopaths, or I'm addicted to them. My ex-fiancé was one. I was with him for 7 years, and he abused me in every way possible. I was so confused with the lies and the double life. He said I was crazy, and I went on tons of medication and was completely isolated. I was finally able to leave after 7 years with the help of the police, only to move back to my dad's with nothing and to start all over. A month later, I fell in love with another sociopath. My friends and family think I'm going to end up dead by him or by killing myself. I've been to therapy. They just say, move out and leave. I can't. That's the problem. If I leave, I always come back, like I'm addicted to the sociopathic men. And if I finally get to the point of leaving, I just meet and love the next sociopathic man. My life is passing me by. I'm depressed, lost, confused. Please help. Is there any hope for me? Yes, there's hope. The key for this reader, and for you, if you're in this situation, is to focus on your own healing. I've said many times on Lovefraud and in these videos that relationships with sociopaths are addictive. So why is that? Well, first of all, according to Dr. Helen Fisher, who is a biological anthropologist, all romantic love is an addiction. The drive to find a romantic partner is buried deep in the brain. It is biologically intertwined with the brain's reward system, which is linked to wanting, motivation, focus, and craving. Dr. Fisher points out that when you love someone and you're rejected, the addiction is worse. Not only do you continue to feel the intense romantic love, but you love your beau even more. Your love becomes an obsession. So it turns out that the brain systems associated with rewards become even more active when you can't get what you want. So let's summarize this. All romantic love is addictive. Unrequited romantic love is more addictive. And I think that because sociopaths typically pour on the love bombing early in the relationships, involvements with them are the most addictive of all. If you want to know more about how romantic love affects the brain, we have a video of Dr. Fisher explaining it on Lovefraud, and there's a link in the description below. Okay, so addiction to a sociopathic relationship is a known psychological phenomenon. It causes changes in the brain. It causes you to feel compelled to stay involved with destructive individuals. To overcome this addiction, you need to choose yourself and focus on your own healing. Here are 3 steps to take. First, no contact. You need to break away from the current sociopath. That means no contact with him or her. No phone calls, no text messages, no emails, no in-person meetings, no visits to his or her social media. Take all necessary steps to prevent the person from contacting you. Block phone calls and email. Don't let anyone who knows the individual tell you what he or she is doing or saying. Now, establishing no contact can be difficult. Why? Because you're addicted. So, just like anyone who is trying to break an addiction to smoking or drugs or alcohol or anything else, the best thing to do is take it one day at a time. So that means you promise yourself not to contact the person today, and you get through the day. You do the same thing tomorrow, and the same thing the next day. Now, of course, this advice assumes that you're in a dating relationship and you can walk away. You don't have to have contact because of kids, working together, or some other unavoidable involvement. But even if you can't totally block interaction, you need to strive for what I call emotional no contact. That means you get to the point that the person simply does not matter to you. Like an alcoholic trying to get off of booze, you need to stick with the program. I've heard from many Lovefraud readers who felt that they were strong enough, in quotes, to interact with the sociopath, only to learn that any contact sent them into a tailspin. So the longer you can stay away, the stronger you will get. But if you break the no contact rule, you may need to start rebuilding yourself all over again. Okay, here's the second point. Do not date. If you are ending up with a succession of sociopaths, it means that there is pain or vulnerability within you that attracts them. And of course you're in pain. You've been involved with sociopaths. So, for the time being, do not date at all. Do not join an online dating site. Do not let some well-meaning friend fix you up. Do not go places where the primary activity is looking for someone to pick up. Give yourself a breather. Now, this does not mean you should isolate yourself. On the contrary, fill your life with family, friends, and activities that you enjoy. Of course, this has been really hard during the pandemic, but it looks like life is going to start opening up soon, so hang in there. Find ways to keep yourself busy. Perhaps you can earn an online certificate or a degree that will help with your career. Whatever it is, do your best to fill your life with fun and supportive people, even if it's only an online happy hour. Okay, finally, number 3. Heal the vulnerabilities. The secret to finding a good relationship is to become whole and healthy within yourself. Now, this doesn't just happen. It requires effort on your part. I urge you to commit yourself to healing your vulnerabilities. So this means actually looking at your experiences and not sweeping them under the rug. It means acknowledging that you were injured and figuring out a way to move past the injury. You may need assistance to do this. So if you do, use whatever method works for you. Psychological counseling, self-help programs, prayer, meditation, or peer groups such as Lovefraud. Just be sure that anyone you ask to help you understands what it's like to be targeted by a sociopath, or at least believes you when you tell them what happened. Lovefraud offers a great webinar that may help you, called EFT Tapping to Break Your Addiction to a Sociopath. EFT tapping is an amazing technique, and lots of people have found that it works. There's a link for more information in the description below. So yes, it can be truly scary and painful to face your experiences, but it's absolutely worth it. The process may take time because sociopaths don't cause just one injury. They inflict a multitude of lies, manipulations, and betrayals. You'll need to excavate many of them, so please be gentle and patient with yourself. The good news is that once you process your pain and emotions and release them, you are free of them. In time, with the vulnerabilities healed, you'll feel much more happy and peaceful. And when you're feeling reasonably whole and centered, you'll know that your addiction is on the way to being healed. And because of your experience, you'll now know what sociopathic behavior looks like. So even if another one does show up, which is certainly possible because they're everywhere, you'll quickly be able to spot him or her and have the strength to get away. The answer to recovery is always within you. Focus on building a happy and joyful life for yourself, even if you are temporarily unattached to a partner. If you do, the right person will come along and you'll be ready. Okay, so let's see what kind of questions we have today. So Mary says, I came to the realization that the addiction is you trying to teach them how to think straight. Yeah, that's part of it, especially for a lot of women. We have this idea that we can fix the person and all they need is enough love, and if we just have the words to explain how their behavior affects us, that we'll be able to help them get better. And unfortunately, if you're dealing with a sociopath, that's not going to happen. And that's why it's so important to understand the warning signs of a sociopath, because you can't fix them. No matter what you do and how accomplished you are in other areas of your life and how you can get everything done and how you've helped other people, if you're dealing with a sociopath, you can't. So that could be part of the addiction, your own feeling that it's up to you to fix this person or to make things better. So that actually is a bit of healing that you need to do within yourself. Like, reflect on that. Why is it that you feel that it's your responsibility to fix these other people or this other person? So that could be key to what you need to let go of in your own life. So, if you have that kind of feeling, take a look at it and see what it might be. Okay, so Catherine says, would the core issues with this case be attachment disorder and self-esteem? Okay, I'm not sure if you're referring to the sociopath or the person who is involved with a sociopath. So I'll take the second one. If the person who's involved with a sociopath has issues of attachment disorder and self-esteem. Not necessarily. One of the things that keep in mind is that sociopaths hijack the human bonding system. We are meant to be with people. We are meant to trust people. Trust is the glue that holds human society together. And sociopaths figure out a way to hijack this. And, I've talked about this in other videos. What they do is that they latch on to normal human behavior, our normal desire and compulsion, actually, to trust people. And they take advantage of that. And so, it's important to remember that because you or anyone else has been seduced by a sociopath, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something really wrong with you. We all have vulnerabilities. They manage to find those vulnerabilities, but the vulnerability could be simply that you have a mistaken idea about what you deserve, or what love is, or whether or not you actually feel worthy of love. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have an attachment issue or problems with self-esteem. I mean, I know plenty of people, myself included. I mean, I didn't have a self-esteem issue, and I managed to, fall for a sociopath who took $250,000 from me and cheated with 6 women and had a child with somebody else during our marriage. But I did have a mistaken idea about my own worth, and that's kind of what got me in trouble. So most people who fall for a sociopath their only issue is being human. So it's important to understand that, and then to recognize that as humans we do have vulnerabilities, and the sociopaths manage to find those vulnerabilities. Okay, so Alicia says, I just had a friend lie to my face, tried to play the victim, then finally admitted that he lied and told me to forgive him, tears in his eyes, because he says he has a problem. I would be cautious about that friend. It sounds to me like this person is manipulative, and that whole sequence that you just described is a pretty good example of manipulation. So you may want to understand the traits of a sociopath anyway, because they don't only apply to sociopaths in romantic relationships. Sociopaths manipulate people in all kinds of relationships, friendships, family members, work relationships. So a lot of the traits and behaviors apply no matter what the type of relationship is. So you might want to get a few checklists and compare what the checklists say to your friend's behavior, and just see. And know that, even in friendship type situations, sociopaths are very capable of taking advantage of others. So I would be careful and look at that relationship pretty closely. Okay, so Maraka says, I've had an unrelated court case since the no contact was done. How can... Sorry, the phone, this just jumped. How can I get my address off the state website? I once stalked me, court said absolutely nothing they can do. Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that question. If it's court records, it's kind of odd, because a lot of the court documents that I've seen, the addresses and information like that are redacted. But I guess it depends which court it is and what type of case. If you've already asked the courts, I guess there's not a whole lot that they can do. You might want to... there are services that might be able to help that have to do with online privacy and things like that. I'm not sure, but I would say that that's a tough one, and I'm afraid I really don't have an answer for you on that. Okay, so Alicia, who I just referred to, his friend is disabled and his father abused him. Says he wants to be better, but he's starting to drain you. The key is how you feel. Friendships should be supportive. Even if the person does have issues, that's what a friendship is, mutual support. So if it's one-sided, if you're feeling drained, then this sounds like it's not a real healthy situation for you. So Carol says, I had a horrible lawyer and had to hire a new lawyer to fix the bad one. I have been no contact, but now the new lawyer seems to be siding with him. Oh dear. Yeah, that happens. And it's also very expensive and not good for your cases to keep switching lawyers. So one thing to keep in mind is that your lawyer works for you and is supposed to do what you want the lawyer to do. You may have to be strong about what you expect and see if that works. If not, you may have to make another change. But you don't want to do that unless you absolutely has to, because then you got to pay for another lawyer to go over all the materials. And as I said, it's not good for your case. But also keep in mind, and I don't know if this is what's going on in your case or not, but the lawyer is just supposed to handle legal matters. And, some people, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but some people kind of want the lawyer to be a therapist too and to be understanding and things like that. And that's not the lawyer's job. You might want to get some kind of if this is a divorce, maybe a divorce coach or something might be able to help you out. That might not be a bad idea. Either a divorce coach or some kind of legal coach to help you. Because that I totally get it. That's a totally difficult situation. Okay. Okay, so Sammy says, "Hi Sammy, how are you tonight? When beginning to break away, is it okay to implement emotional no contact first, heal from within, and once strong, tell them that you're implementing real no contact?" Well, you could try that. The problem is that the longer you're involved with this person and still in touch with this person, the harder it's going to be to break your contact. So you could try that. You could try working on emotional no contact first. Maybe an approach in your situation would be what is sometimes called the gray rock approach. And what that means is that you become boring, because sociopaths, they're always looking for a thrill. They're looking for power and control. They're looking to take advantage of you. And if you stop responding, that might be helpful. And it's kind of a quasi no contact type of thing. So maybe that will be helpful for you. But I would say that the most that you can do to implement real no contact, that's what's going to be most effective. It's hard, because of the addiction. So I totally get how hard it is, but that's the best approach. If it's not working for you, certainly, try it the other way around. Try the emotional no contact, and then, try to finally cut it off. So, everybody's different. So whatever is best for your situation, then obviously that's what you want to do. Okay, so Jay says, how might someone with this disorder be able to target a mentally strong person? Well, because a mentally strong person is human. As I said, we are all programmed to trust. And what sociopaths do is that they figure out ways to use our natural inclination to trust people against us. And that's just what they do. And they're very, very good at it. And they're very, very convincing. So, plenty of people, I can tell you for sure that people who are thoroughly familiar with sociopaths and, know about their behavior, for example, psychologists who deal with sociopaths and do presentations on sociopaths, I mean, they get snookered, So these people are good. I mean, they are professionals, and they live their whole life with exploiting people. They figure out how to do it. They figure out how to make themselves appear to be appealing. So it's absolutely possible for anybody, mentally strong, successful, professional, to be targeted and to fall for a sociopath. In fact, if you look at it, most sociopaths are looking for people that they can exploit. So who has the most to exploit? It's people who are accomplished or who have things or are smart or can do things for the sociopath. So, that's what they're looking for. So they definitely target people who have wherewithal, who have assets. This is what they do. And as I said, unfortunately, these folks are professionals. They've been doing it all their lives. They're very, very good at what they do. And we all have vulnerabilities. And by vulnerability, I mean that we want something. I mean, anything you want is a vulnerability. So if you want to build your business, that's a vulnerability. If you want to get a new contract, that's a vulnerability. So anything that you want makes you vulnerable. And sociopaths figure out what it is that you want, figure out if you have any pain that they can latch onto, and that's what they use. So, I mean, it could happen to anybody. So DB Max says, I think you skipped my question. Well, that's possible. Could you post it again? Because when the chat goes down, I can't see what was before. All right. Mystique says, if someone is making you feel like you're going crazy or like you need to record the conversation with you, it's probably gaslighting. Yeah, that's true. Any kind of relationship should be mutually supportive. There should be a balance of give and take, a balance of helping and requesting help. And one-sided relationships where you're doing all the giving and the other person's doing all the taking, sooner or later that's going to not be fun. It's not going to be helpful. It's not going to be supportive. So, you do want to look at these kind of involvements. And one of the interesting things that happens, I've heard from lots of people who have gone through this, is that once you recognize that you've been involved with a sociopath, usually in a romantic relationship, because that's most of what I hear about, but not the only thing I hear about, once you realize what they are, then sometimes lots of people have started looking at their circles of acquaintances and saying, oh my goodness, I have all these people who are draining me, who are in my inner circle, and you got to get rid of them. I mean, life is too short to be worried about all these people who are draining you. So sometimes you have these experiences can open your eyes so that you realize that you want to go through your contact list, and some people you don't want in your contact list anymore. Okay. All right, so Amy says, is it always best to completely ignore and not respond to manipulation or try to point out how they were hurtful or whatever? Ignoring seems to make things worse. Well, ignoring will make things worse if you're still in contact with them. That's the point of no contact, is not talking to them. I can tell you that if you're dealing with a sociopath, it does absolutely no good to point out what they did wrong. It does no good to try to explain how they hurt you, because they don't understand and they don't care. So all of that is useless. So if you're involved with a sociopath, the best thing you can do is figure out how to get the person out of your life as quickly as possible, and then have no contact at all with the person. Okay, so DB Mac, her question is back. Please explain why power and control. He says everyone can do whatever they want, free will, but then at times tries to control what I say or how I react. He even tries to control my forgiving him sooner. Power and control is what sociopaths want. It's what they live for. And that's the objective of whatever they do. Any involvement has some kind of aspect of power and control, because that's what they want. They're trying to get you to do what they want, whatever it might be, give them what it is, give them what they want. So it's not going to get better. And yes, this person will try to make you forgive them faster or whatever. That's just another aspect of power and control. I mean, if you have identified that the person is trying to exert power and control over you, this person is 99% probably disordered, and there is no rehabilitation. It will not change. It will not get better. So you need to get out. And, just figure out the best way to get out of the situation and do it, because they will not change. They will not become less interested in power and control. And even if they do appear to change, it's only a temporary measure to reel you back in again, and then they'll be worse than ever. So if you've identified power and control, know that this is a bad situation and you need to get out. Oh dear. So Daniel says, I just had my second child with my sociopath. Is there any way to make it work? If you're sure that the person is a sociopath, then there is no rehabilitation. The person will not get better. You have to figure out what to do as far as the children is concerned, because I do know of some people who stay engaged in order to take care of the children, although I've never heard of anybody who said that they were glad that they did that. It's not going to get better. It's just not going to get better. So I suggest that you do some research. We've got a lot of material on lovefraud.com. We have a bunch of webinars. Make sure you understand what you're dealing with, and factor that into whatever you decide to do going forward. So, okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this evening. I'm always glad to talk to you and do my best to answer your questions. So we'll be back next week for the next episode of Lovefraud Live. See you later. Good night.